This is a presentation of the Sports Source Digital Network, presented by Hearthside Bank.
How do the Vols get off the schneid while you make money against Vanderbilt? Plus, for the first time since 2016, number 1 versus number 2 in conference. We break it all down next here on Action. Coming off last week's Super Bowl, how about we make a little bit more extra cash here on Action? Welcome back to the Sports Source Digital Network. My name is Tyler Ivins. Do we have a slate in college hoops today? Number 1 versus number 2. Big 12 matchup. Vols trying to avoid the season sweep against Vanderbilt. Let's not waste another second more. We say thank you to the friends over at Advent Electric. We'll tell you a little bit more about them, including what this little baby right here is going to be providing the lock of the week. I know a lot of you waiting for that direct deposit play. That coming up in less than 7 minutes. Let's get right to it. How about a showdown between two coaches who every year are going to be candidates for finalists for NCAA Coach of the Year? Kelvin Sampson, he's going to be making the trip out west to Tucson. It's still a little weird when you talk about conference realignment when it comes to Houston, when it comes to Arizona. But Tommy Lloyd in this Wildcat program still trying to build up resumes for a top 16 seed with us just a bit, about 29, we'll call it 30 days away until Selection Sunday. Look, we've gotten bit quite a few times if you listen to Riding with Ivans Monday through Fridays here locally on 99.1 The Sports Animal. Vegas is doing just an absolute remarkable job of labeling road favorites but keeping the number small enough where they can bait bettors into a play. This might be one of those situations, but when you look at just the rosters, Houston's a better basketball team. Our first play, it's the electric play that we do to open up things on Action here on the Sports Source Digital Network. It's more than a bucket. The hook scares me a touch. So if you're out there asking yourself, Ivans, is this a scenario where we might want to buy down? If you're new to the hobby of sports gambling, buying down or buying up is simple. It's where you pay a little bit more price on the juice to eliminate numbers from the spread. So if you don't feel comfortable with 3.5, if you want to pay a nickel, if you want to pay a dime, put it up to an even 3 so you can keep this at a bucket, I'd say go for it. Don't be shy about it. Houston winning outright, though, on the road in a Big 12 showdown against Arizona. That's in the cards for coming up this weekend. 3.5, I'll let you decide on that. But that number 1 elite defense that overtook Tennessee's spot after their struggles in Kentucky, I think Houston has a nice win to build that resume. Cougs over the Cats, that in Tucson, Arizona. I want to lean in on the table and I want to look at you. I want to stare into your soul. I'm about to give you a play that you're going to laugh at. You're going to pause this video. You're going to have to collect your thoughts, and then you're going to click play again. There is a saying that my co-host Will West gives me here locally in Knoxville, Tennessee. He refers to me as the deep-fried degenerate, because there's sometimes we find plays that when you look at the two programs that are going toe-to-toe on the basketball court, you go, why? Why are we even talking about this game? But those are the plays that always hit. Did you expect to click on a video today and expect for me to talk to you about Tulane Green Wave basketball and the Rice Owls? We like to refer to this pick as the Call Me Crazy selection of Sports Source Digital Network show Action. And I'm looking at Rice basketball, a team that usually hovers around 60 points per contest, and a Tulane team that loves chucking up threes. So when I see a combination of taking high percentage three-point shots out of Tulane, and a Rice team who is just very average. They're a basic basketball program that wants to float around 31 to 33 points per half. You do the math at 64, 66 chance total points throughout 40 minutes of basketball. So when Vegas wants to throw out a number of 129.5 with Tulane's three-point ability and Rice's just show up and roll the basketball mentality out, this is a total doable number. And if you've listened local this week, this won't be the first time that we've taken a Rice total in a basketball contest leading into March Madness. I don't know what it is about the program in Houston. They just like playing average basketball. This is totally doable between these two programs. They score $130. We go home a winner, Rice and Tulane in that showdown. Again, Rice and Tulane, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for us to bring it back even more local here. All right, how many of you are still fired up here on Rocky Top after Kentucky pulled off the season sweep against Tennessee? Just That's a poor performance. Not only was it a poor performance for individuals on Tennessee's roster, but anybody care to do the math in their head what Tennessee went from deep in those 2 losses against Kentucky? Don't worry, I'll help you. 14 of 63. Carry the math, 16 and a 4. 22% Tennessee shot from deep in 2 losses against Kentucky. A Kentucky program in both the win in Knoxville and Lexington that was down 2 leading scorers. They lost Lamont Butler in the second half to the re-aggravated shoulder injury. But look, I'm not going to get back inside the box score, but I want to tease it because of what this next play is going to be. When we look at Vanderbilt and Tennessee this weekend, the Vols, they absolutely cannot afford another loss to Mark Bennington's team. Remember, they had Vanderbilt on the ropes. Free throws could have sent this game back to overtime in Nashville a couple of weeks back. So what's better than sweet revenge at home? When you talk about one of the other plays I'm looking at in this matchup between Tennessee and Vanderbilt, Vandy's on and off a top 25 program that's going to re-enter the NCAA tournament this year, but they need a little bit of a reality check. Tennessee was relying on Chaz Lanier in that game, Jordan Gainey in that matchup. If the Vols can just continue to bottle what they showed us in that matchup with Florida, Missouri, Oklahoma, get the ball inside against Vanderbilt where they're vulnerable, you're going to see Tennessee not only be able to pick up a win against Vandy, I think it's a pretty easy win against Vanderbilt. -5.5, Vols take care of business at home, and then everybody's happy heading into the LSU matchup. But that leads us into the player prop portion of today's program. There are a lot of people who say, why would you even bring up three-pointers, Ivans, if we're not going to focus a little bit more on the three-pointers? Because we are today here on Action. I have been very hard on Tennessee's leading scorer, Chaz Lanier, the last couple of weeks. I believe at this point in time, whether you're watching Valentine's Day Friday, whether it's the 15th, the 13th, here in this area, Tennessee's got a Chaz Lanier problem right now. Chaz Lanier is being paid to not go out and be 0 for from deep or only be held to 10 points in a key matchup against Kentucky. So where's the blossom moment? When we talk about there being only 4 weeks to go to right your wrongs ahead of the NCAA tournament, where's it going to appear where Chaz Lanier's starting to figure things out? It's going to happen this weekend in a matchup against Vanderbilt. If Tennessee's going to cover a small number of 5.5, they're going to need to get support from who? Players like their NIL baby and Chaz Lanier. This is a little nuts, but your player prop you need to look at. This is a get-me-right game for Chaz Lanier. And if you can see a little bit there inside the dry erase board, right there at the bottom, I believe Chaz Lanier is going to have at least 4 3-point field goals in the matchup against Vanderbilt. The reason why it's 3.5, because I think this is a plus money play. Right now you can get Chaz Lanier 3-point field goals over 2.5. I want to see him hit an additional 2 additional three-pointers plus 125. You get an opportunity to make $1.25 for every dollar you lay. I know you're a little nervous because of what Chaz has done from deep in the last couple of games. Call it a hunch. Your old friend Tyler Ivans here through the computer screen, through your smartphones, call it a hunch. Chaz Lanier, he uses the Vanderbilt contest this weekend to really get back on track, and we start seeing how Tennessee progresses over the next couple of weeks as their schedule gets a touch bit easier before they run into the Alabamas and the Ole Misses of the world. We have got the lock of the week coming up, and I know this is what you guys have been waiting for. But before we get into the lock of the week, I want to tell you about my friends Nick and Kevin. They're over with Advent Electric. They've been providing high-quality electrical contracting solutions for 46 years. You've seen their number across the bottom of the ticker. You probably watch all the other Sports Source digital network content that we have, like Give 'em 6, as well as Next Level or Wild. If you need somebody professional that puts you, the customer, first, I'm telling you, Advent Electric can make that happen. Their phone number, of course, listed at the bottom for all things that you need, both residential and business. You kind of already know where we're going for the lock of the week, right? I teased it at the top of the program, but now we need to get inside the numbers. I love that they gave me props here on Action, because that's all we need is a loud, theatrical guy to get more props like he's on a Hollywood set. The last time we saw an in-conference number 1 versus number 2 matchup during the regular season, Oklahoma and Kansas were going toe-to-toe in 2016. And we get it again this weekend. For the 141st time, the Iron Bowl on the basketball floor is going to take place. Bruce versus Nate. Guard play versus guard play. number 1 overall seed versus number 1 overall seed. So who do you like? Even before I pull this paper out of it, who do you like? Go ahead and put the comments at the bottom. It's a skinny number of 1.5, so 1 bucket. Blink and the game's over. Who ends up catching the momentum in this matchup? Home court advantage. I like Mark Sears. I like Youngblood. I like what Nate Oates is doing right now with this basketball program in Tuscaloosa. And I think if you look back at the matchup between Florida and Bruce's boys in the jungle just last weekend, there were a couple of things that were exposed in that matchup on how to slow down likely player of the year, John I. Broome, and the Auburn Tigers. I think Alabama right now is playing the best basketball. They have been the most battle-tested. Just do yourself a favor before you make this bet. Go look at Alabama's calendar November, December, and go look where Alabama's already been in conference play on the road. If you want to talk about somebody right now who's Teflon, if you want to talk about a program right now that has absolutely been punched in the mouth and kept answering the bell in the ring, Alabama's that team, and it pays off in a matchup against Auburn. That coming up this weekend. You want to go to the recap? Let's quickly get them all put on a menu so you know what you're playing with this weekend during Sports Source Digital Network show we like to call Action. All right, so the plays you need to know for a busy week of college hoops. Let's dive right into it. First time as a member of the Big 12, the Cougs head west to Tucson. No problem. Even if you eliminate the hook and take it down to 1 possession at 3, I like Kelvin Sampson's program to be better than Tommy Lloyd. Again, cat on cat, give me Houston over Arizona. That's the electric play of the week. Call me crazy. They're basic. They're simple. They're going to give you 30 points a half. So if I get 60 out of Rice, what's Tulane going to do flirting with 3-pointers? Over 129, I think at the end of this game, not so crazy, very doable. Tennessee, how do they get back on track? How do you wash the bad taste of Kentucky out of your mouth? You bring in your in-state foe, and you avoid the season sweep. Vols, no problem, -5.5. And to reach that number, if it does turn into a bludgeoning, which I believe it will, Chaz Lanier, take his 2.5 player prop 3-point shot, bump it up an additional, get it at plus money. The more he produces, the more that your checking account should grow. Let's get him at 4 3-pointers. And finally, just under a decade, it's the first time that 2 teams since 2016 are number 1 and 2 meeting in the regular season in conference play. Give me home court advantage. Give me better guard play. Give me Alabama to be able to knock off Bruce Pearl. And then the Tide take over as the number 1 team next week when the AP poll comes out. What'd I miss? What do you like? Subscribe, like, comment below. Let's do it again next week. My name is Tyler Ivins, and this is Action on the Sports Source Digital Network.